Oh, oh boy. Oh boy. Rob, that's the same type of shenanigans you said when we were at the golf course. John, we were at the golf course again,
Tell
and
me more.
so we're at the golf course, and we're just hitting some balls around. And Rob's like, you know what? I'm tired of this. Let's go to the football field. I'm like, cool. Let's go play football. So we went out there, football, European football, like soccer.
Oh, okay.
We're classy that way. So Rob and myself went out there, and we got the people to wear the uniforms. We started playing a game, and as we were playing again, Rob trips over another planted device. Looks around. I said, "What's going on?" He's like, "I think I hurt myself.
Yep.
There's something here." So okay, what is it? And again, it's another note, and we just I'll read it because again, the mystery wrapped in enigma known as Vanis. The note, as we looked for it, said, 3 is the magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number. Somewhere there's an ancient mystic trinity. You get 3 as the magic number. The past, the present, and the future. Faith, hope, and charity. The heart and the brain and the body give you the 3 as the magic number. I don't know. Again, I'm hoping people in the chat can tell me what's going on. I believe that was in Spider-Man, but again, I don't know.
Let me just say, though, that as you were reading this out, I was writhing on the ground in pain. I was getting really bad graspings on my.
It was
my
the Family
shoulders.
Guy sketch. He's like,
breathing, and I'm like, can you stop? I think I might have fractured my ankle. And he's like, I got to read this letter. And I said, please tell me you have insurance. So,
well, to be fair, I did call over one of the AMT, like one of the healthcare professionals, and they sprayed the magic spray on you, and then you got back up. So, soccer, just like the spray.
But to be fair, at first they grabbed the wrong container, and it was one of those Ron Popeil, the hair, and so I have my left leg is dyed to look like I've got a hairy leg. But then the other spray made it feel better. So
no one knows what that spray. That was the late night infomercial, right? Right after the flow beat,
they
would show you the
hair in a can.
Rob knows there are 2 problems in life. 1, you got to get rid of the hair, and that's the flow beat. And 2, you got to add hair on, and that's hair in a can. So these are things that, John, we know. So welcome, everyone, to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Stupe. With me is one of the owners and proprietors of Heroes World. That'd be Mr. John Ho. Please say hello.
Hey, that's me. What's up, folks?
And our Prince of Mischief variant, let's call 818, Mr. Rob Gudette.
Hello, everybody. Not in need of any hair in a can. I have quite the hairline, as you can tell. There's no widow's peak. I am genetically great.
Although the other variant does have a ponytail. So we're going to have to talk about that one. So
a rat's tail.
Oh, man. That's the jam. That's the jam right there.
Somewhere,
comb up, spike with the rat tail.
Somewhere in the universe, the rat tail still is in style. So that's the predominant hairstyle. So welcome.
I had one. Did you ever rock one, Stu? I had one.
What, rat tail?
Yeah, I had one back.
No, I had the mushroom cut. That was the thing. Oh, I had a mushroom cut because that was also a thing where, I think I wanted an undercut. My mom's like, you can't do that. That's too much. I was like, all right. So
the problem is it was frowned upon probably during your teenage and later years because it was like the gangster triad cut for Asians. It was like, yeah, you get the undercut, you're part of a gang.
Yeah. Well,
look at Rob glossing over. He's remembering his 98 degrees days with the frosted tips.
No, bro. that was the early 2000s. Looking like John Vision with the bleached blonde hair. Yeah.
It's a thing. So welcome to our review and discussion of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This is a film that is directed by Sam Raimi from Spider-Man fame. We're all interested because Scott Derrickson was originally directing the movie. Then he pulled out and could not do it, so they figured, who can we get? And Sam Raimi's being somewhat of a horror auteur, decided I'm going to step in and jump in. Those who are unaware, he did a few movies, Evil Dead. He's done
baby.
Yeah, he's done a lot of interesting things out.
Drag Me to Hell.
Drag Me to Hell.
What's the
marrying
other guy? What's the other guy famous for? The previous director.
Horror movies.
horror movies.
Like,
He's got that
we
new
know?
one coming out next month called Phone Booth, which looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
So,
Doctor Strange is always supposed to be kind of a horror movie, and Scott Derrickson was like, "I'm gonna bring horror in the first one," and it wasn't that much, and he was excited because the second one he's gonna really bring the horror, and I think his idea of horror and what Marvel's tales of horror is way different. So he's like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna go in a different direction."
So they were leaning towards this angle already, the horror angle. They were getting somebody, and then it switches to.
We'll talk about the Raimi cut because there was a Raimi cut. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
there's a Sam Raimi cut that was when they did the when they pulled that middle central American Midwest town and they make them watch the movie and get notes. They said too scary, too much. So there's like a whole like 30 minutes of just pure death and gore that was cut from this movie because like it's way too much. So yeah, we'll be interested. We'll talk a little bit more about that because there's a lot of stuff that was done. And then when they did I guess it's the I don't know what the census group or the viewers or whatever, they just said no, they cut it. So
like the ratings board or something like that.
No, not board. It was oh, gosh, it's like they usually do this and they always had these movies shown in like middle America to get their
test screenings,
and then they were just like, yeah, no, this is it.
Focus group, I think is what you want. But
yeah, thank you. Focus group. So they just said no, it's too much, too far, and then like, okay, fine. So that led to a lot of reshoots and a lot of things. So yeah, we'll get.
Which is really funny because a lot of people in the Midwest are known for having relationships with their sisters.
I thought you meant the horrible disfiguring like injuries. As we learned in Fargo with wood chippers. All right, John, tell us your initial thoughts of this movie. I think you were pretty jazzed about it when the trailers came out.
I would say actually I was probably the least hype out of all of us. Like
out
of all of us.
All right.
I think I only watched that. I think we did a trailer reaction, and I think that's the only thing I saw for it. So I was actually not hyped because I'm feeling the Marvel fatigue. So like all this, we had Eternals and a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm kind of like meh going in, and after seeing it, I love this movie. I thought this movie was great. It hit all the good points for me. It was exactly what I wanted from this type of movie. It felt like a little bit of a breath of fresh air. In my head, I was thinking, is this going to be in my top 3 of Marvel movies following up Winter Soldier? I don't know if anything's ever going to top Winter Soldier, but yeah, I was definitely very pleased with this result, but I can understand why some people aren't digging it. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think.
Well, what about yourself?
I was on the opposite spectrum of John. John came out of that theater and he was like, "Oh my God, it's the best thing ever." He's messaging me top 3, and I'm like, "Wow." Yeah, and I came out and I was like, and it took me like a few days of thinking about it. Messaging John, he was telling me, "Come on, what about this scene? What about that scene?" And then talking to my son, I've come to appreciate it more. I do want to see it again. When I got out of the theater, I was like, man, I don't know. There's a lot of cool moments. We're gonna get into it, but I do think this movie, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a bit of a mess. It is a bit of a mess, and I would it's definitely not in my top 3. It's good, but it's not what I was expecting.
Stu? Are you going to straddle the middle ground, or are you going to choose a side?
No, I think that we have such an attachment to Wanda that, like, again, it was decision making in this movie made me go, huh? And I think it was telling, not to spoil it, but the fact that Sam Raimi's basically admitted he didn't watch WandaVision. And I'm like, well, that's a big problem. That's a big red flag. So when we're doing the homework, you need to do the homework. So part of me was like, well, I get it. You don't want to, follow through, but you got to get a sense of the character. So like Sam Raimi's, like you look at his other work, I look at all 3 Spider-Man movies, and they're similar to this ilk. There are some really cool moments, and then in some of it you're like, interesting choices, all right, Cool. Like he does a lot of nods to his previous stuff, which is fine. Rob, to your point, I wish they lingered on a few more points, and I just thought there was some interesting decision making. So, yeah, it's definitely not in my top three at all. It's
You guys
bottom.
are crazy. You guys
The bottom. Yeah, it's in the bottom. Like I just look at it, I'm like, I think there's about 3 or 4 scenes I'll rewatch again, and that's pretty much it. I'm like this whole movie. I'm like, cool, man.
I'm shocked. But yeah, I understand it. I'm shocked, but I also understand it.
Yeah, this is a very divisive film. Like it's a cinema score, like a B+, and Doctor Strange 1 was like an A-. So we'll go into it. So what do you give this, John, out of 10?
Well, you can guess, but it's gonna get like a 10 out of 10.
Like you couldn't be shocked about that one.
y'all had to see that coming, but it for what it was to accomplish, where it sits in my I don't know if this kicks off this summer, almost like a preamble to the summer movie-a-thon or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hit all the right notes for me. Only thing that could have changed is maybe if this was around Halloween time to go with the horror film. But it's like, does every horror movie have to be slotted into October time?
Not when it's a blockbuster movie like this. No, you got to put it.
Yeah. No, you gotta make the money, right?
Rob,
here comes Rob with the 7.5.
No. I when I left the theater, I was thinking like this is like a 5.5 to a 6.
Whoa!
But because I've given it some time and let it gestate, I think it's a fair, solid 7. So because there are some really cool moments in it.
Yeah, I'm going 7.5. Yeah, 7.5. That's what I'm doing.
Well, I'm the lowest. Wow,
You guys are nuts.
No,
but I think I liked it more than you used to, so I'm surprised that I'm a 7. You're only a 7.5.
I think there are like 3 or 4 moments in the movie that really elevate it, and I think that's why I give it the 0.5, because I think about those scenes, and I'm like, man, they could have done so much more, but like I'm kind of glad they were there. So for me, I'm like, So yeah, we'll go into it. So let's go into spoilers, because at this point, everything I say now, it's gonna be ruined. So let's go into full spoilers as we do. John, you can do your Doctor Strange fingers, because now you're indoctrinated.
Yeah, you can do your.
I think his fingers shake with the jazz hands.
Jazz
But yeah, dude, people, if you can see this without getting spoiled, that is an awesome feat, and I think you will enjoy it a hell of a lot more. So if you can manage to get past, but if you don't care, sit tight and join us.
All right, John, go through it. You are the number 1 fan, so walk us through.
Yeah, so I don't know. Should I even talk? Like, should I start defending things? I don't know.
No, you have your list.
Yeah. So this is the type of Marvel movie that I like. So Winter Soldier. We've said it a million times. I've said it a million times. It's very genred within this kind of superhero genre. So within the superhero genre, I guess we've got a few films that have been genred, and this does it. This sits in that horror genre, which I wouldn't have thought I would be into, but for some reason it worked absolutely amazingly in this movie. So all the magic stuff, that all for me sits really well in the horror department. If you started making a super serious movie about magic and these abilities and stuff, then I'm not as interested. But you start adding these horror elements of the cape with the spirits and all the crazy eyeball thing and all the kind of like the semi-zombie look of Scarlet Witch. It really works. I actually didn't have that spoiled, so I didn't know Scarlet Witch was the bad guy of this movie. Because I guess that wasn't revealed in the first trailer. I thought that was the cameo, and then she goes through the little thing, was like, oh, you didn't tell me her name. And I'm like, oh, snap. Is she possessed? Is she controlled? And then she just basically gives him an ultimatum. And I'm like, oh, she's a bad guy. And what a great motivation for a bad guy than kids. Like, that nothing would turn you faster than being, hey, you know what? You want your kids back? You're going to have to destroy the whole universe. I understand the WandaVision criticism that Stu and Rob might bring up. Yeah, there was a lot of development that happened in WandaVision that basically is being ignored here. And I don't like the fact that you're going to have to watch this movie and you're going to have to know that WandaVision component, because I feel like they didn't do a good enough job creating the seed of the fact that her kids were lost during this very tragic event. I don't know if they had to play that 5-10 minutes from WandaVision of her saying goodbye to the kids or something like that, or a clip show at the beginning. But that is one criticism of the movie. I don't like having to have a whole component of something else I want to watch before watching this. But yeah, just everything else just hit perfectly for me. The movie was all gas. It was literally just going like 100 miles per hour. I felt like a Fast and the Furious movie at some point. I did really like all the cameos. The cameos are great. I like that all those characters got destroyed right away. I literally yelled out in the theater, "Oh shit!" when some of the characters went. I didn't see that coming, and it worked great. Sam Raimi did a really good job. I think I'm a big fan of his now, so I'm gonna have to go watch Evil Dead 1, 2. We just watched Drag Me to Hell not long ago. And he's got a whole bunch of other gems, and then there's the Ash versus the Evil Dead. I don't know if he's involved in that. So
and Army of Darkness,
the Army of Darkness stuff. So it just worked for me, and it's kind of like what I wanted from a superhero movie. I don't like all these attachments. I feel like it can almost sit on its own, almost some components, and it's mostly the WandaVision components. But yeah, I loved it. I can't wait to see this possible director's cut or unrated or scarier edition. I'm super down. Yeah.
Rob, your thoughts?
Yeah, so listen, this is a very Sam Raimi Christmas special. It has all of his typical tricks. He's got his Dutch angles with a zoom. He's got his, the violin behind the walls. Like it's a very Sam Raimi kitschy Evil Dead. I'm taking all the stuff, as you said, Steve, from my previous movies, I'm putting them in. So if you're a Raimi deadhead, you're going to love this for that. However, let me just the things that kind of bothered me is one, and I said this to you guys when we started doing WandaVision 2 years ago, and I said, they are making us watch all of these shows to be able to justify certain plot points in a movie. And Stu, you're like, you've used this analogy. It's like Pokemon, got to catch them all. But the problem is, to John's point, there was no real explanation as to the motivation. And if you did not watch WandaVision, you didn't, whatever, you're going into this. This is not a direct sequel to Doctor Strange 1. For a movie that the first third is all exposition, except for the giant, squid thing fight, there was no exposition about Wanda's role of what brought her to where she is now, aside from this passing comments of, oh, what I did and I got in trouble and, in Westview or whatever it was. And that's it. And it really does rely on us having done the homework to be able to understand. If you haven't seen that, you're like, what are they talking about? It makes zero sense to you. And that really irritated me. As well, I'm not going to lie, guys. This movie was notoriously meant to come out after No Way Home. We knew the plot of No Way Home was going to be the opening of the multiverse. Am I stupid? And the obvious answer would say yes, but am I stupid in thinking that this multiverse was going to be derivative of what we saw in No Way Home? And yet there's absolutely zero ties to it. Like, this movie starts off with a whole different, with the other Strange and America Chavez, and they teleport essentially into the Earth 616. But there's no consequences from No Way Home. And in fact, they talk about Spider-Man and thereby kind of overriding the whole idea that nobody's
incorrect. No, I didn't override it because they know of Spider-Man. They don't know who he is, but they know Spider-Man.
Okay.
All it did was erase Peter Parker's identity, not the fact that Spider-Man exists.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay,
fair enough. No, good point. But there was no direct tie. I really thought that this was going to pick up right from the events of No Way Home, that the multiverse of madness was going to be born out of what Strange did in No Way Home, and it didn't. And that really shocked me. I thought, wait, this is like a direct line. How are you ignoring this? And again, so for me, it was just like, it was a lot of exposition. I felt it was slow, aside from that squid monster at the beginning, which I'm not going to lie, John was like, wasn't that cool with the eyeball? And that's not like, yeah, it was, but I think I saw a better version of that in the Suicide Squad with Starro, but that's just me. And
no, I think that they're both CGI kind of monsters, but to be fair, I think the monster in this movie had more emotion because the fact that the eyeball actually
sure.
like changed perspective, like if you were
Yeah.
keeping the eye itself, it was kind of like
Yeah.
like kind of like shocked, like it emoted emotion that I'm like, oh, I never expected like a giant like that sorrow in Suicide Squad was just a giant like eye and didn't really do this one really accentuated and had like the weird frowny eyeball and all these different things.
It was
So
more agile.
yeah, it had some moments to it that I actually think was a really cool, interesting sequence. So
No,
that's
it was
yeah.
cool and it was fun, but it whatever.
Mm,
For me, the movie doesn't pick up for me until we get to the Illuminati stuff.
yeah,
And I gotta say, like, and I guess we'll address those cameos after, but seeing those cameos, like there was that one, the big one we all talk about. I audibly went, whoa, I did not see that. And of course, the next day everything is being spoiled in all my Instagram and Twitter feed. So I'm really glad I didn't see that leading up to it. And I felt like it was really kind of at that moment when the gore really took off.
yeah.
Like I felt like they kind of were teasing it a little bit beforehand, a little playfulness. And then once the Illuminati aspect happens, the gore, it ramps up. And I felt that was a tone. So it kind of felt like we had almost two different movies kind of stitched together. And so at the end of the day, like I enjoyed it. I feel like they could have made a much more direct line to what happened with No Way Home. I don't like the fact that, and this is my concern about still going forward with all these Marvel shows. So, it was good. It's definitely worth seeing. I appreciate it more now the farther out I've gotten from it. But for me, it's not a top 3 movie or a top 5 movie. So
I think the problem is the promotion for it was making it seem like Infinity War Endgame, like one of the big crossover event in the equivalent in comics, and it wasn't. It was literally like a Doctor Strange 2 almost could have been like in a pocket, but I feel like they did push it like it was No Way Home, and then setting up the new phase. What are we? Phase 5, phase 6, or whatever the hell's called.
Phase 4,
phase 4 or whatever. Yeah. So I hear you on that. Yeah. But I don't care about that stuff. So that's why
I've actually gone back and watched some of these other movies, just like I have them on while I'm working. And I got to say, guys, the simplicity of those movies, or even of the sequels of those movies, is really refreshing to what we're getting. Like the Endgame and Infinity War and even No Way Home were spectacles. But not everything needs to be a spectacle. Look at Shang-Chi. It wasn't a spectacle. Like it was a good old origin movie. And I feel like they were trying to cram a spectacle into this.
Yeah,
and I don't think it needed to be. So, yeah, sure. Okay, I know. As we're recording this, it's made over $500 million worldwide.
At the end of the day, if it wasn't for a global pandemic, and like they have to just go for it, because even Thor, if you look at Thor and that cast, like, does it really need the Guardians of the Galaxy? Probably not, but they're in it. So it's like, and look, if you think of how big
I bet they're in it for 10 minutes, man.
But that's pretty much the same allotment for the Illuminati. Yeah. So you're looking at, like, to be fair, the Illuminati probably will have the same amount of screen time as the Guardians of the Galaxy, but just because, like, and Asgard is huge because you have Korg, you have Thor, you're gonna have Jane Foster, you're gonna have Valkyrie, you're gonna like and Gore the God Killer. Like, think of how big that movie's gonna be. At this point, it's gonna have to be spectacles because it's the only reason they're gonna drag you to a theater. Like, so it's especially.
But the nice thing about Thor, though, is that we don't have to have watched anything, but all you had to have watched is Endgame, because it picks up after the events of Endgame, and that's it.
Yeah, I look like I was critical, but I do think that first action sequence was very well done. I look at the Illuminati. I liked just like the introduction part. You're just like, to see all the characters, like, and just the banter is like,
Carl. My theater clapped. What happened in your theaters?
Carl? And I'm like, just like, great, Carl. Like, okay, these are jokes. But I thought it was cool, and I thought when Patrick Stewart came out, and the rift came out for X-Men, I just
X-Men
I
97,
lost
yeah.
my damn mind. I was like, this is the greatest thing that we've ever seen. Like, not the X-Men theme of the movies, but this was the X-Men guitar riff from the TV show. And he had the green suit and he had the tie, and basically it's like cosplaying as the cartoon of Charles Xavier, and you're like, this is everything I wanted. It was great. So yeah, I think it was a little weird because I don't know how she knew how to take them all out that quickly. It is what it is. I feel like Sam Raimi at one point was like, let me just rewatch Invincible, that first sequence, and let's see how much gore and stuff I can throw into it. But I just sat there like, how did you know to block like Black Bolt's voice? Like, I just sat there going, I don't know how you knew.
Black Bolt got messed up.
Well, we might as well get into then the
Or spoilers already. So this is what like. There's no.
Yeah, but let's
Illuminati
finish his
Black
overall
Bolt.
thoughts.
Yeah. So like, I thought that actually was a great representation for people that didn't know Black Bolt's powers, for him to say I'm sorry, and that was really cool. I thought even the fact I liked the little dialogue tree that happened with America, Wong, and Steven just after, and they're like talking about pizza and all the other stuff. They're like, yeah, from the multiverse. And it's like,
and she's like, you don't speak Spanish? That was good.
Yeah, like the other Strange did, right? It's like, well, it's the same thing. It's kind of like that fun banter of like same thing that they made fun of in the Venture Brothers. The Venture Brothers Spider-Man, actually, the webbing comes out of not his wrists. So the same thing they made the joke about with Spider-Man No Way Home. It's like where'd they come out of? So there's some fun things in that aspects. I thought, and again, I thought some of the Sorcerer Supreme, like that big fight sequence, was actually pretty good too. When like a lot of the horror elements with Sam Raimi was there with the mirrors and stuff, and using that to like take poor Master. Oh God, what's his name? Amir just got pizzoned. Just like, oh man, Amir, not Amir, just gone. Just got taken out of the way. So I thought it was kind of like cool. And even the other thing too, where I guess that conversation with Michael Schultzberg, the doctor from Doctor Strange 1. Yep. He was like, yeah, did you have to make that decision? Like, I lost 2 cats and a brother. I was like, oh man. So like there was some ramifications in terms of like the blip and other things. So, and then the whole Ultra, like that whole Illuminati universe. Like, I thought everything was fine. I think the issue was, to Rob, your point is that the fact that you need to come in with pre-knowledge, like this was not an entry-level course. You needed to basically take a pre-existing WandaVision course to understand her thought process of why it mattered. Even when she's like, oh yeah, I killed Vision, like this is the sacrifices I've made. I'm like, these are all valid points. You sacrificed a lot. You lost your kids, you lost Vision. But then in my mind, I'm like, isn't Vision alive again? Like, you forgot about that too. So
well, yeah, but how could exactly? She had the construct, the idea of the kids, but why didn't she recreate the Vision? Well, because they couldn't get Paul Bettany. That's why. Right. But it just kind of seemed like there was like that.
Well, they could always get Paul Bettany, but it's just a matter of like, he's available. It's just a matter for the plot of the story. They're like, he's not there.
It just seemed weird.
It had its moment. Like, again, it had that like the beginning of the movie, that whole like 15, 20 minutes, I thought was a really good part of the movie. And then it kind of loses you after a bit. And then it kind of comes back to Illuminati. And then the third act, I was like, okay, cool. Like, Strange the zombie, great. He's doing his thing. And he's like, and I was like, all right, cool. It looked cool. Like, it looked really cool when he used the demons to make the cape and he flew over. I'm like, wicked. Like, that's cool. Can we talk about the one of the greatest actor of our generation? From Fast and Furious own Charlize Theron at the end. Can we talk about Leo? I was like, I'm in, baby.
No idea who she was. I had to Google it afterwards. I had no clue who she was. It's like we're at a point, guys, in these Marvel movies where they are now introducing characters from comics and storylines probably within the last decade that I haven't read. So I'm just like, my knowledge has only gotten me so far, and I'm out on Jeopardy.
For shame. John, were you excited?
I was excited to see Charlize Theron because I'm pretty sure that wasn't announced and that wasn't known. That was kind of like a nice surprise thing. But yeah, I'm not, again, like Rob, I'm not familiar with that character. She's got a series coming up soon, so you'll see her on the cover of a bunch of new books coming up.
Well, that's a coincidence.
But yeah. But yeah, like Rob says, they're starting to pluck obscure characters. Whereas if you turn to a comic geek and go, "What do you think of so and so?" They're going to be like, I didn't follow that one.
Sure. Like if you read Doctor Strange, you know that she's the love interest. Like she's the one that's there, right?
He's like an ex-wife of hers or something.
She's as obscure as Christine Palmer, the original like night nurse. It's like, okay, well, she's same level of character, except for actually Cleo, like it's kind of, I guess it's the counter of the associate for Dr. Fate, like the other person that watches over. So this is very.
I was more thrilled with the other after credit scene, which I thought was just a hilarious.
Pizza Papa.
Yeah. He's like, it's over, and then it cuts to him.
He's still punching himself.
Yeah, it like for those of you who don't know, Bruce Campbell from Burn Notice, of course. Yeah, yes, Burn Notice fame.
You're going with Burn Notice.
That's what he's known for, John. On a show that lasted 8 seasons. But he was also in a couple movies, including Evil Dead, and everyone knows him as Ash. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, everyone does know that, in the movies he cuts off his hand. So again, losing perspective of his hand is another just gimmick of Mr. Raimi. But yeah, to that cut, the Raimi cut, it would be 20 more minutes of pure gore, because I think in the original cut, spoilers, Wanda murders Mordo. Like Mordo goes after her and he just like decapitates him and just like blood everywhere.
He kind of just disappears, right? Now that I think of it, he just
like
kind of
that 616.
He gets stuck down there.
Yeah, but in the original, like in this one, Baron, like the 616 Mordo gets owned by Wanda at the beginning of the movie, but they cut it out, and it's like, okay, well, this Mordo won't die. The other one will kind of set up, so we'll see. But yeah, there was a lot more blood, a lot more violence, a lot more like horror elements, because again, they built it into the storyline of like America Chavez needs it in order for her to jump from universe to universe. So that's how they kind of got away with the quote unquote horror elements.
I can't help but think, because John and I on the Sidekick show recently, we rewatched Doctor Strange 1.
Yep.
And I got to tell you guys, I can't help. I got out of that theater. I said to my son, I can't help but think that the Ancient One, played by Tilda Swinton, would have kicked the shit out of Scarlet Witch. Like, I
don't think so. But
I don't know, man. If you go back and you see how her power set is and her attitude and her calmness and confidence, it was all of that was sorely lacking in both Strange and Wong. In comparison. And so I don't know. I actually almost think that the Ancient One probably could have taken Wanda down, to be very honest with you.
She has Infinity Stone powers, so it's really hard. And she was able to basically kick the crap out of Thanos one-on-one in that last movie. So it's hard. I don't know if the Ancient One could take on Thanos as easily as she did. Because at Endgame, she pretty much had it all down. He had to basically fire guns from space to like make Doctor Strange hold back the water. That's basically what was happening. I do want to do shout outs to Patrick Stewart. Magnificent always, but even that line he used about like people losing their way, I'm like, that's just lifted purely from X-Men, the last X-Men movie, where he's talking to himself. It's like people lose their way, and I'm like, oh, I remember that line. It was in the last movie. You just totally did the last movie. I'm like, okay, cool. So I thought that was really well done. Agent Carter, fine.
She looked good. She looked good in that costume.
Let's talk about John Krasinski.
Yeah.
Would you be happy with him being your Mr. Fantastic? Like the rumors are all over the place. There's a rumor of a certain director directing, but I'll tell you that in a second. John, would you be happy with John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic in a movie?
I was Fantastic Four, not one of my things, not one of my favorite of the superhero stuff. But yeah, I thought he did a good job. Smartest man alive still went for a stretchy straight punch and got owned. That's what you get. And they seem to always do that to that freaking guy. He did the same thing in all the other movies. So I hope this new movie they think of more clever things to do, so to throw a straight up stretchy jab and get wrecked. But yeah, he looked good. He teleported in, which was a really cool little detail. The suit looked really good. I think they're definitely going to have to change the theme of the movie because he is he did look older there. I don't know if they olded him up a bit. I guess you could young him up, slick his hair or whatever. But yeah, I'd be fine with it. Yeah.
If he just shaves his beard, it looks like just go watch Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yeah, I guess yeah. I haven't watched season 2, but yeah. But he did look older in this version. But I think that was their intention that they wanted him to look older. So yeah, I'd be fine with it.
Well, yeah, because he has kids.
Yeah.
So we already know that Franklin Richards is alive.
Basically. Yeah. So they would gear the movie and focus on an older Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, all that, and then they could probably introduce the kids, which would be the younger kids.
I thought it was hilarious when Doctor Strange is like, he's like, Reed Richards. He goes, didn't you guys peak in the 60s? I thought that was super funny. Which, if you guys remember, I had said, wouldn't it be great if they do something where they actually did exist back in the 60s and they got lost, in space?
That was the original. There was a pitch. That was the original idea. But this all falls into like rock bands because like there's that scene where Bruce Banner and Tony Stark were talking. It's like, hey man, we broke up like the Beatles. And then the other thing where the Spider-Man are like, oh, I'm part of the Avengers. I'm like, are you part of a band? It's like no one seems to know. Every time you say a superhero team, they just think you're part of a like it was good that the other part too is that when Doctor Strange was like, is this Shield? Is this Hydra? Is like what is going, like he was naming off all the things. I'm like, oh, you know about Hydra. Good stuff. So they knew about you, so I guess it's apropos that you know about Hydra. So I thought that was interesting too.
I was happy to see Krasinski as that's the one where I went, whoa, like that was like we've been hearing that fan casting for years, and so to actually see it come to fruition shocked the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because leading up to that, I was thinking, we know that what's his face left, the guy who directed No Way Home, he left. He was going to direct Fantastic Four. Markham. Yeah, and he's gone. And I was like, I saw a commercial for A Quiet Place 2 on Amazon Prime, and I was like, I bet you Krasinski would do a really good job directing Fantastic Four. And then it was in my own head, and then we see him, and I'd be happy to see him. Although I'm also completely cool if it was just a one-off fan casting just to calm the nerds down and say, okay, enough with it, right? And hire somebody else to be Mr. Fantastic. I'm fine with that as well. I didn't care for Mordo being as part of the Illuminati. To me, I just was like, you just shoot it in. Captain Carter, that was cool, but again, you have to have watched What If to be able to really fully appreciate and understand.
No, I don't think so. I think that cameo could have rolled without the whole What If.
Yeah, maybe.
Because the character was kind of semi-introduced in the comic. Unfortunately, that's what spoiled it for me, why I knew she was coming, because all of a sudden there was a spike in the first appearance of her in that uniform, and I was like, shit. So I already knew that. But Mr. Fantastic, I didn't know. Stu, did you know any of those cameos going in?
Yeah, I I had no idea Black Bolt was going to be there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the internet sleuth knew, so I was trying to keep away, but I could not. So I knew all those things beforehand.
Yeah, because you saw it a bit after us. I saw it like Thursday, so like the pre-screening, and I still had
too much too late. Although the new internet rumors are, and get your thoughts, Dallas Bryce Howard as the director of the Fantastic Four, with John Krasinski starring in it.
I thought it was the Moon Knight. I thought it was the Moon Knight guy.
Muhammad.
I thought that was the latest rumor, but I don't know.
That because she's done so much TV recently, and there's the pedigree of her, of course, father, and the great Clint Howard, who is really the star of the show. So that's what it's all about.
That's interesting because she did 2 or 3 Star Wars shows.
Yep.
They were really decent.
That was the first season was the one she did where it was the small town and the fish farmers for the plankton, whatever, the krill farm. That was the one with the AT-AT. And then the second one was the one that she did with your boy Bosch, I think, John. And that was the one with Starbuck.
Yeah.
But she also did an episode of Black Mirror.
Yep.
That I was really impressed with as well. I think, though, the problem with Fantastic Four is you got to crack the family element. And I don't know. I think you need a director who understands how to make family like a quartet of individuals work well together and not an action piece. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the action piece, you know the producers and everybody else are going to do that for you. Your director of photography, all those guys are going to help with the action piece. I think you need to have somebody who can focus on the story.
Yeah.
And that's why I
you're gonna
thought
need the chemistry. The chemistry is also gonna have to be
right,
there
and
for
that's
all
why I
that
thought
cast.
Krasinski as a director would actually be because those Quiet Place 1 and 2 are really like they're character studies, right? And they involve a the close-knit family trying to stay together, and so it wouldn't be too much of a stretch for him to move into that role, but we'll see.
And then the last thing is the rumors did confirm, the writers did confirm that they wanted Tom Cruise to be Tony Stark.
Yes, I was hoping for that cameo.
I'm glad we didn't get it.
I was praying for that cameo. I was like, oh man, if the Tom Cruise
Don't worry,
cameo
we're gonna get him as Maverick. And as far as I'm concerned, if I get him a Maverick, that's all that matters. That's a huge plus. So, all right. Well, I think we can say that, John. Where does this movie? This is your top. What's your top three right now?
I think it cracks my top three because I think my top three is in no particular order other than Winter Soldier first. Yep. So I guess that's second and third place. So Winter Soldier,
Tier 1,
Black Panther, and this might be my top three. I'll have to watch it again to see if I can get a couple more views in, and I feel like I have to watch Shang-Chi a couple more times too. But
Shang-Chi has its own problems.
I feel like this is going to maybe rest on the third spot because I think I've rewatched Winter Soldier. Like it's even based on how many times I've rewatched them. Winter Soldier the more, Black Panther the next, and I suspect that this is going to be third.
And your movie, basically the Marvel movies, I think Rob touched upon it. It's so dependent on the villain, and they always say Marvel has a villain problem. It's just like the same one. Why Batman is such a good character is that his rogues gallery is really good. So like the moment you start killing people off, like you lose interesting characters.
Yeah. So for this one, Wanda is an amazing turn to a villain. Her like despite them not really explaining the whole WandaVision thing, the reason for her turning and doing this I think is really good. And then you have Killmonger, and then the whole Winter Soldier, everything like that. So it's like it's pretty tough to crack. I don't know if anything's gonna crack my top three other than these now.
Because in Black Panther, there's Killmonger, and then Wenwu in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, the dragon sequence at the end of Shang-Chi is what is holding it back. The whole front end of the movie I really, really loved, and then the back end is where it doesn't stand up as well for me because maybe I've got all these kung fu movies.
I thought you were gonna take Mark's away because of Razor Claw, and the
fact I love Razor Claw. I love his freaking car.
Razor Claw.
I love his car.
Oh, of course. All right, John. Rob, you and I both agree it's in the bottom half. Is that correct? Bottom.
I was just checking to see because I think there's 27 Marvel movies now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, somebody just said there's 33, but I think it was 27. I think this was like number 27. This is for me, guys. After only having seen it once, it's not even in my top 10. I would say if there is 27. I'm calling it somewhere between 10 and 15 in that range. So it's in the mid-range, I think.
You're saying you rated this movie so poorly, but yet you're putting it in 10 to 15.
Well, okay, maybe not. Maybe 15.
Wait, what?
15.
What kind of John math are you? You're basing. It's really in actuality in between 18 to 24. That's what you're saying. Like, there's no way.
It's 15. It's 15 to like 20,
24. 24.
There's
24.
Like, I don't know,
Rob. That your math is like John's. All of a sudden, you went to John's.
No. I'm no.
John math. Like what's going
I'm
on?
trying to think. Like it's not my top 10. It's not in the bottom
already. Like, would you say the Eternals is better or worse than this thing?
Ooh. What's worse? How about this? Is
Eternals. Is it better or worse, Rob?
This is Wave 4. Is it the best? Is your favorite of Wave 4, or is it No Way Home for sure? Right?
Yeah, No Way Home for sure.
I'm not worried about
better or worse.
Better or worse than the Eternals?
I actually kind of like the Eternals. I gotta
say. There you go. If that's the case, it's bottom to like better or worse than.
You're bonkers. You're bonkers. You were not in the mood to watch this movie.
Better or worse than Thor: The Dark World?
Oh, it's better than Thor: Dark World.
So like at least there you go. It's not the worst of them because if you're saying Thor: The Dark World, like I'm just doing the exercise. Like, what other Marvel movies did you not like, Rob? What's the
What are
worst?
the sequels? Is it the best of the part twos?
Is it
'Cause
the
we have,
worst?
What do we have? Iron Man.
Well, no, okay. So I think it's better than Iron Man 3.
Two,
I think it's better than Iron Man 2. I think it's better than Thor 2.
Thor
I
1?
think it's better than
Thor 1 was a snore, man.
I didn't mind Thor 1.
Thor 1 was good.
It's a really easily consumable movie. I think it's better than
The Ant-Mans?
better than Ant-Man 1.
Oh, better than
The
I
Guardians?
never was good. Ant-Man 2 was a slog. Ant-Man 2 was rough. Because you're like, who's the villain? It's like the same problem. It's like the villain problem was Ghost. And
that's true. That's true, actually.
And then the other villain, God, I love Justified, but man, it was rough. Where I'm like, oh,
Goggins. Yeah.
Yeah, Walter Goggins.
Goggins in that?
Yeah, and Ant-Man 2. You're right. Ant-Man 2. Ant-Man 1 was so simplistic. It was so...
but the bad guy at least was Corey Stoltz.
Yeah, he was Yellow Jacket.
Like he was fine. Is it better or worse than Ultron? Avengers Age of Ultron?
Oh, Age of Ultron. That's a number 2.
Yeah, but you know what? I kind of feel like Age of Ultron has grown to be better than over time.
Mm.
I don't know, man. I can't think of what else is... What else? I mean,
maybe
maybe you're right. Maybe because we've got... What's that?
It's like 24 in your books.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I'm already thinking about all the conversation we have. I'm like, this is what it is. It's probably the 20 like in that.
You know what? I don't know if I like the first Avengers movie more than I like this one, because I find the first Avengers movie to be kind of boring.
Mm-hmm. I think you need to recognize, just like the judging in the Olympics, the difficulty and scale of what they have to do the first time at that time period. I never give it the same. Like No Way Home is a thing what's culmination of all these movies before it. And same thing, if you never watched the Spider-Man movie, you could watch it, but it doesn't have the same meaning. The Avengers, that first movie had so much to do, and we never in Wallace World thought we could bring all these characters together. And when it happened, and that action sequence at the end where they finally did all the stuff together, you're like, oh my God, this is everything you've ever wanted in a comic book movie. So, like, again, I look at the difficulty edge and what they had to do the first time, because no one ever did it before. That was the first time.
Yeah.
Like I always say Avengers is in my top 3 just because of what it had to do, the nuance of the movie.
See, yeah, I won't rewatch. Like, this won't be on my, like, if we talked about this before, where you have a dedicated, like, a handful of Marvel movies that you'll throw on at any time. This definitely won't be in one of those for me. So there we go.
I think it'll be interesting to see where you put this, because again, I'm just looking at the list and I'm just like, where are you? You know,
I'm literally gonna have to write them all out and rate them, because in my mind, I think Captain Marvel might be better than this. I'm not sure.
Oh wow.
Oh man, Captain Marvel. Yeah, Captain Marvel was. Oh, and then let's not forget Black Widow.
Oh yeah, that's really low. This is way down than Black Widow.
Like, it was over there. We're like, oh yeah, Black Widow. You have Iron Man 2, which is the Black Sheep movie of that phase.
You know what? I take it back.
Dark World.
Yeah.
You know, like you have.
This is better than Captain Marvel. I'll give it that.
And then you have
just walk it back a bit.
Kind of moving
Captain
back
Marvel, and you're like, oh, it's Captain Marvel, and you're like, that wasn't really that good. It's like,
fair enough. Yeah,
fine. But again, who was the villain in that movie too? Annette Bening was the villain. Like, I don't know. Like, it was really rough to figure out who. Oh, it's Jude Law. Like, and both of those were like inconsequential villains. So yeah, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals. Like, the last couple ones have kind of been like hit or miss. So
are the Spider-Man movies considered in the mix too?
But both Spider-Man movies are Mysterio, which is
all the Tom Holland stuff.
Like,
yeah,
no one, like, that one is Homecoming, Far From Home are both good.
Yeah.
They're both like that Spider-Man one's an excellent movie. Like, it's the first one where you're like, oh, this is great. And then
the bottom like third
like,
three lengths through or whatever. I don't know what the hell.
Like, Michael Keaton's fantastic, man. That scene in the car together, the tension. Like, you forget about that scene. It was like he's putting things together and the lights are turning in, and he's like the green light and the red light figuring this out, and you're like, oh my God, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's and then Mysterio is great, and again, we have all these good characters. Well,
Jake Gyllenhaal broke my heart. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Just, dude, Taylor Swift has a long story about that guy. All right, let's wrap it up. John, where can they find you on the internets?
Yeah, so if you want more shenanigans, find us at Heroes World Online on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube if you're listening to us on the audio. In the Desert of the Real, 8601 Warden Avenue. We are located in Markham, Ontario. Tons and tons of good stuff. Lots of Doctor Strange omnibus and new books. And like I mentioned, the new comic book coming out. So lots of great fun stuff that you can come in and check out. And we'll be carrying all the hot toys and craziness that is sure to ensue after this movie kind of cements itself. And then if you're listening on the audio, Heroes World Podcast, my choice is Spotify. Spotify is free to listen to podcasts. Lots of great podcasts you can listen to. Give us a 5-star rating. I think we need like 10 or 15 of them to actually start showing up on the metrics and stuff. So help us out, folks. And thank you everybody for always sharing and talking about the content. And I've had a bunch of people that drop by and say they listen and watch the show. So thank you so much, people.
Rob, what's going on the Sidekick Show?
Yeah, so it's actually really cool because we are diving off of this, guys. We'll be talking about Top Gun Maverick, which is coming out in 2 weeks. And so this coming Monday, live on the Sidekick Show, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, 8:15 p.m. Monday night, we are going to just give our thoughts on the summer movie season. What movies are John and I looking forward to? So we're kind of excited. We're going to have our list of movies. Things to watch out for, things that we're personally excited for. Which is really funny because last year we did this and I was all for M. Night Shyamalan's Old, and I still haven't seen it, guys. So we'll see how this year's summer movie preview fares. So that's Monday night, 8:15 p.m. live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
Well, thank you all for joining us. I have a feeling that Thor: Love and Thunder will be watched by Rob. So that's my prediction. That's a gimme.
Yep.
So and Top Gun Maverick, I think we're all jazzed.
We're all going to see that.
So, we can guarantee at least Danger Zone we played once in that movie.
Oh man,
I give you 100% guarantee that they're going to play that.
They're going to remix it, or it's going to be the old school.
100% old school.
Okay.
What
about?
Not
I don't think Take My Breath Away is going to show up. I feel like Take My Breath Away could show up.
I think it's Danger Zone is
some Kenny Loggins. They're going to throw in some Kenny Loggins. He has to be part of this movie. Basically, is what you're saying.
It doesn't.
Unless they do an updated version with like Flo Rida doing it or something.
Oh man, Flo Rida.
Pitbull doing Danger Zone.
Mr. Worldwide. Danger Zone.
Or they could do it with Steve Aoki, but he already hit the danger zone when he fell off the stage the other night during his concert.
Yeah.
Oh, wah. All right. All right. Guys, thanks for watching. We will see you later. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Stu.